I had a division manager decided that I was going to be his special project, and he loved to follow people in general and sort of casually imply that he was doing something else, but he just so happened to run into you, whether he was going to get a sandwich or he was on his way home or he was buying a Mother's Day card for his mom at the mall. And, who should he happen to run into?
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the member's best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
All right, so we're going to be talking about some of the stories that we had, during our stint of being followed by management. These are usually very, to me, they're entertaining because they're just so crazy. But let's get into it. So, Norm, I'm going to throw it to you first. How long ago did this happen? What was it like? What are some of the things they did to you?
This is a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 now. I had a center manager. He's no longer with the company. He went to Amazon. And for some reason, I was just on the radar to be harassed. So this management person came into the building. I don't know where it was. Ride along. Okay. I get along with everybody. I'm only here to do a job. We're riding along, conversating during the day. And at some point, I'm in the back of the truck. I'm sorting. I'm getting packages. You're not doing this right. You're not doing it right. And I wonder, well, where's this coming from? I thought this ride was okay. I didn't say that. I'm like, okay, well, show me what you want me to do. I can't touch the packages. So it's going back and forth. I'm not argumentative. I'm just saying, demonstrate what you want me to do. I will do it. This guy, I forget his name. If I had his name, I would definitely give it to you, but I forget his name. And he got in my face, almost nose to nose, and threatened me. And, at that point, it's kind of hard to keep you cool because if I would have put my hands on him, I would have lost my job. So, at that point, it's like, okay, yeah, you're so angry, you're shaking, you're like, what do I do? Like, this guy, he's violating me as a man, he's violating my personal space, and he's violating me as a Teamster. But, I backed down. Okay, you got it. You got this one. I filed the grievance, called the ethics hotline, made all types of complaints. And, of course, followed up with the union. And the guy, I was told that he would never come near me again until, coincidentally, 2 months later, he's back in my truck again. But that's one of the crazier stories that I've had. Like, I don't know, I know where it came from. This center manager that we had, he said, I want you to go after this guy and try to break him. And it just didn't happen because I remember, okay, this is for right now. I have some people backing me, and that's what I utilize to take care of it.
So, Greg, I'm going to throw it to you. What are some of the highlights that you went through when management was following you around?
There's a lot to tell, but I think for the sake of a lesson, I had a division manager decided that I was going to be his special project, and he loved to follow people in general and sort of casually imply that he was doing something else, but he just so happened to run into you, whether he was going to get a sandwich or he was on his way home or he was buying a Mother's Day card for his mom at the mall. And, who should he happen to run into? But our initial interaction with him, his very first day taking over the building, he followed me and he pulled me over. Once he realized that I saw him, he pulled over and I never met the guy, to be honest. It was his first day. So he started to get on the truck and I immediately stopped him and said, hold on a second, you got some ID? Which he didn't like very much. But of course, those are the rules, right? We don't let people just get on our car. And so then he started going through the packages and asking me questions. And after the first one, I just said, you know what, I think our conversation's done. And he tried to tell me that I couldn't invoke my Weingarten rights because I was on the road. And I said, well, I can. And I did. And he immediately blew up and said, I'll get your BA on the phone right now. And I said, you call whoever you want, but this conversation's over. And so he proceeded to call my business agent, and start screaming and yelling at him that I was this and I was that. And then he ended up giving me a stack of warning letters the next day and firing me every day for the next probably 6 months. And then we ran him out of town. But I think the point is to understand that, his goal was not to get rid of me. His goal was to break me. And when you understand that, and these people come after you like that, it makes it easier to deal with, right? Because they're trying to intimidate you. They're trying to tell you what your rights are and tell you how you need to operate within their world instead of the other way around. And I tell people all the time, those rights that you have are everywhere. Just because you're not in the building, or you're not, if you are talking to a management person and you are working, you have a right to a union representative. And anything beyond that, they either stop talking, or they find you one, or it's a labor charge. And part of the way we got rid of this division manager was by filing a stack of labor charges and harassment complaints and grievances and everything else, to the point where the company came to the local and said, what do we have to do to make all this go away? And we said, get them out. And they shipped them somewhere else. But the important thing is that, again, the more you know about what your rights are, the more you're going to know how to protect yourself, and the more you're going to understand the game that they're playing. And that's what's going to keep you cool and get you through it.
Now, the one thing I will say, like I said before, I wasn't really involved with the union until I started getting followed all the time. I remember this is 15 years ago that this happened, but it was literally just me and one other driver that were filing 9-5 grievances. So my route was right next to the building. So they just coincidentally, after I started filing the 9-5s, they were following me around every day. And I remember back then, once again, I wasn't as involved as I am today. I was in some bad habits. I didn't tuck in the shirt. The shirts back then, the one I was wearing, you're supposed to tuck it into your pants. I didn't do that. I didn't have my UPS socks on. I gave them ammunition to use against me. So when they started coming around and following me around, it's like I just handed them over a bunch of ammunition because I didn't have my stuff straight at that time. And I hate it. One of the reasons why we do this videos is because we want to help protect people's jobs. I know how easy it is to fall in this thing of, oh, I just deliver boxes and that's it, and thinking that you're just going to have a job forever. Meanwhile, we all know a lot of you guys out there and girls will cut corners, try to get done early, and thinking that nobody's ever going to find out. And these are the things that are going to cost you your career. And so that's kind of where my story begins. It started with that, and then it just snowballed into other things. So they were like, oh, this guy clearly doesn't have his stuff together, because that was their first impression. They saw me looking like a bum. I hate to say it. So then they started getting into, oh, is your shoe shined? Is the polishable leather? Just anything they could. And I had to start putting all my ducks in a row real quick, right? And as Greg just alluded to or just said, is that they want to get a rise out of you. And they got it out of me at the beginning. I was falling into every trap they laid out. And so I guess the solution to this, or what I soon to find out, is, I hate to say it, I got numb to it. After a couple months of going through this and getting followed every day, first of all, it makes you look behind you every single time you make a delivery. You'll look behind like, hey, is anybody following me? That's the first thing it did to me. And then the second thing is, like, I just got used to going into the office. It was almost a running gag at the end, because it was just like, oh, here we go again. Like, I'm going to get another intent to terminate. I remember I got one because I lost an ink pen. And it's nonsense. A lot of this stuff is just pure nonsense. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that you should just not treat it like, don't go around and don't treat it like it's nothing serious, because it is, but it's not like, I don't want any of this to keep someone up at night. I don't want any of this to ruin someone's weekend, because it did for me when it first happened to me. It stressed me out, but soon enough I realized that how everything worked. And during that time, and I advise all of you out there that are watching this to do this as well, go down to your union hall, learn this stuff, learn the contract inside and out. If they start following you around, this is your career. Be serious about it. You know, I know that we make these videos. It's convenient. It's nice. I hope it does help people out. But take this as serious as you possibly can, because all it takes is somebody just, slipping up, and then guess what? You got a Norm has to, or whatever, whoever your business agent is, has to go in and represent you, and you want to give them the best case possible. So, Norm, I'm going to throw it back to you real quick. You've dealt with cases like this. Is it how much different is it dealing with a good case versus a bad case?
Management will seek out who they feel as though they can intimidate. And that's what they're going to ride. They try to get more production out of them because it's easy to whip somebody that's already broken. So we had a driver in one of the centers. I'm going to keep this as vague as possible. And management will pull him, into meetings all the time. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're not making these numbers. And he would always come to me afterwards. And I would tell him, what are you going to do? Oh, well. And I got to a point, I told him, okay, the next time you go into a meeting and you don't tell them, or you don't threaten with my name or another business agent's name, you're going to have a problem with me. That put that to bed. But to answer your question, when you give the company ammunition, it makes it so much harder. And I tell this to everybody, and it's not a secret. We don't get paid to empty the truck. We get paid to do a fair day's work, for a fair day's pay, to follow the methods, work safely, and get home safely. And unfortunately, we have up to 14 hours before we violate DOT rules. I know everybody doesn't want to be out there all day, but when you start to do shortcuts, as you said, because you don't want to be out there, the company's going to find something, no matter how much you think you're doing to quote unquote help the company, you're hurting yourself in the end. So, and I'll give an example of a good case. I'll use myself as an example. When I was a driver, the route I had was pretty much inner city. I delivered in an area called North Philly. It was a real good neighborhood. It was all walk-off. So management would always say, you're over loud. They would come out, they would follow me around. And I had so many ride-alongs, it was ridiculous. And I wouldn't, not intentionally, but I practiced following my methods all day, every day. It got to the point that when they would send a management personnel with me, because I had to walk up and down every street, you couldn't drive down the streets. They were so small. They got tired. Okay, I'll sit on the step and I'll wait for you. You go do what you got to do. I'll wait here. But, it's easy to beat a good case. And when management would say, your numbers. I told them, hey, I deliver packages. When we start delivering numbers, you can talk to me about numbers, but I deliver packages. Don't talk to me about numbers anymore. The numbers are artificial. It's what they use to try to intimidate you, to try to force you to go faster. And unfortunately, I know drivers and represent drivers and say, hey, when the supervisor rides with me, I just do whatever they want to get the ride over faster. You are hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself unbelievably. Protect yourself. There's nothing that says that you have to empty the truck. Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever seen anything that says that you have to empty the truck by the end of your shift?
Nope, absolutely not.
So that's what we need people to understand. You have to work safely. You have to follow your methods. You do, and I strongly recommend to practice your 10-point commentary. You don't have to know it verbatim, but if you do it every day, you don't have to worry about, am I doing the right thing when someone is following me? That way you can know, if they say something, they're full of BS. Protect yourself. Your body has to last a lot longer than UPS. So when you're hurting your body, when you're running, hey, I've got to be done by 5. I've got to be done by 6. That just incentivizes UPS to put more work on you because they know you want to be out the door at a certain time. So you're going to do more and more so you can make that time. Protect yourself at all times.
And you just talked about knowing the 10-point commentary. For me, I've always imagined that management's always with me at all times.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you work as if management was with you when they're not with
Mm-hmm.
you, You'll be fine. But that's all I got. Love you guys. See you next time.